Something so big that when the first drone footage came back, the pilot flying it did not speak for almost a full minute. He just stared at the screen. Because underneath the empty, lifeless desert, where nothing is supposed to exist, there was a city, streets, walls, rooms, a whole world, buried and forgotten like the earth itself was trying to keep a secret. And the craziest part? People had been walking on top of it for centuries and never knew. Stop for a second and think about that. You could be standing somewhere right now, on solid ground, completely unaware that beneath your feet, there is a story waiting to be found. A room someone once lived in. A door someone once closed for the last time. Doesn't that feel strange? Almost personal? Because if a whole city can disappear without anyone noticing, what does that say about the things in our own lives we walk past every single day without really seeing them? The forgotten dreams. The unfinished plans. The people who existed and mattered and then just vanished from memory. That is exactly what happened here. This city was not destroyed in a single dramatic moment. It was not bombed. It was not burned. It was buried slowly, quietly, grain by grain, over hundreds of years until the desert simply swallowed it whole and the world moved on like it never existed. But here's where things get strange. Because when researchers finally began digging, they didn't just find broken pottery or crumbling walls. They found something that should not have been there. Structures too advanced for the time period they were supposedly built in. Systems that seemed almost engineered. And one single tunnel, that led somewhere nobody expected and nobody has fully explained since. Let that sit for a moment. A tunnel underground, leading away from the city. Why would a civilization build an escape route beneath their own home unless they were expecting something to come for them? As the excavation continued, the questions only multiplied. Carvings on the walls did not match anything from known cultures in that region. Some symbols repeated over and over, almost like a warning. Others seemed to track the movement of the stars with a level of precision that experts still argue about today. And then there was the silence. No mass graves. No signs of war. No evidence of famine or disease. It was as if one day everyone who lived there simply left, or were taken. Nobody knows which. Now here is the part that changes everything, so stay with me because this is where the real answer starts to unfold. The reason the city was buried was not sudden destruction. It was climate. Centuries of shifting wind patterns slowly moved sand dunes across the region, burying structures one layer at a time, year after year, decade after decade, until entire buildings vanished beneath dunes taller than the rooftops themselves. The city wasn't hiding. It was being erased, slowly, by nature itself, while the people who once lived there had no idea it was even happening until it was already too late to stop. That is the real lesson hiding inside this mystery. Change rarely comes all at once. It comes slowly, quietly, one small shift at a time, until one day you look up and realize everything around you has completely transformed and you miss the moment it happened. Whether it is a city, a relationship, a career, or even who you are becoming as a person, the biggest changes almost never announce themselves loudly. They creep in, grain by grain, just like sand. But now, the twist that nobody saw coming. When researchers finally reached the deepest part of the city, past the tunnels, past the carvings, they found something that stopped the entire excavation team in their tracks. A room perfectly preserved, untouched by sand, untouched by time, as if it had been sealed on purpose. Inside it, tools, artifacts, and evidence suggesting the people did not vanish in fear or panic. They left in preparation. They knew what was coming. And instead of running blindly, they built something meant to survive centuries underground, waiting for the day someone would find it again. They were not victims of the desert. They were the ones who outsmarted it. Think about that for a second. An entire civilization, facing the slow death of everything they knew, did not collapse into panic. They prepared. They protected what mattered. They planned for a future they knew they would never personally see. And hundreds of years later, that plan worked. We are talking about them right now because of what they chose to do in their final days. That is the real dopamine hit of this story. It is not just about a lost city. It is about proof that even when everything around you is disappearing, you still have a choice in how you respond to it. You can be buried by your circumstances, or you can build something that outlasts them. So here is where we land. The desert did not defeat that civilization. It preserved them. Their walls, their tunnels, their secrets all sealed away, waiting patiently until the world was ready to listen again. and now you know their story. You are part of the reason they are remembered. If this pulled you in the way it pulled me in while researching it, imagine what other hidden stories are waiting under our feet, in places nobody has thought to look yet. Subscribe, because the next one might be even harder to believe than this.